Opening weekend of the NFL, Dallas, Miami, and San Francisco look like world beaters. Let's go around the league, and I'll give you my thoughts for this week. Let's go! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Marco. If you like what we're doing around here, please click subscribe and hit the bell down below. Oh my God, what a week in the NFL. What a weekend. What a way to start the season. A lot of predictions are looking good right off the bat. Some of them not so good right off the bat. The Bears looked horrible. We'll get into that later. But let's start with 5 observations from around the league in week 1. So first, let's start in Miami. My Miami Dolphins. Oh my God. Tua Tagovailoa over 400 yards passing. Tyreek Hill, 200 yards receiving. The Miami offense goes into LA. Kind of a home game for the Dolphins. I feel bad saying that, but it's sort of true. The LA Chargers don't really have a home field advantage, period. And there were a lot of Dolphins fans. Dolphins fans like to travel well, but look, a huge moment came up for Tua at the end of that game. They had, a minute 40 to go. They needed a touchdown or at least a score of some kind, and they got the touchdown once again to Tyreek Hill. 214. I got it in my notes here. Let's see, 215 yards receiving for Tyreek Hill from Tua Tagovailoa. Look, I said it on the preview show. You could go back. I'll link down below to check it out. Miami is a sneaky team that could win the Super Bowl this year, and they just went into LA and beat up on the golden boy Justin Herbert. And that defense, they needed a big stop at the end of that game, and they got the huge sack. Vic Fangio's defense looks absolutely phenomenal as well. It's not going to show that well on the scoreboard because they did give up, 32 points. But overall, I like the way they played at the end of that game, and I loved what I saw out of Tua Tagovailoa. Great game for the Miami Dolphins. That's number 1. Observation number 2, my pick to come out of the NFC. Oh my God, did the San Francisco 49ers take it to the Pittsburgh Steelers. This was a prediction that I got completely wrong. I'm actually lucky I didn't post a video about this because I had the Steelers winning this game and covering. They were +2, and I said, I remember even saying this, and I'll show you my DraftKings account, not that I want to, because it had a rough day, let me tell you. I had Pittsburgh winning this game straight away. I really, one quarter into that game, and I don't know what I was thinking, because overall, my biggest question mark for the 49ers coming into the season was Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy did more than enough to win that game yesterday. 220 yards passing, not too bad out of Brock, but you know what? Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, when you have those kinds of offensive weapons, and the defense plays the way that they did, and look at what they did. They just locked up Joey Bosa to a long-term contract right before the season started. I think they signed that deal on Thursday or Friday. San Francisco is here to stay, and I think we were all a little bit too high on Pittsburgh this offseason. I really am starting to question what we really liked about the Pittsburgh Steelers, myself included. They're my 7th seed in the AFC. I don't know what I like about them anymore because I thought about it. Oh, I like Kenny Pickett. I like the defense. Everything I said I liked about them looked horrible. Looked horrible out there. So Pittsburgh, I guess that's a combination of observation number 2. We're going to find out real quick, is Pittsburgh really that bad or is San Francisco really that good? Which I'm going to rant about this for my Bears takes later on in the show. Was Green Bay really that good, or were the Bears really that bad? I think that's a genuine question. As it pertains to the Steelers, I don't think they were that bad. I just think San Francisco is that good. I really do. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with all year long. So that's observation number 2. Observation number 3, Dallas. So as you can see, I'm recording this. It's nighttime. It is the Sunday Night Football game. It is 26-0 at the half, Dallas. Okay? This is another game I got completely wrong. I thought, you know what, home opener, Giants are at home, they're getting 3.5, it's Sunday Night Football, it's a division rival. I know I picked Dallas to win the NFC East. I guess some of you got in my comments calling me crazy. Let me tell you something. The reason why I really like Dallas to win the division is because of their defense. And you see what the defense did to this team? I know it's only the first half, and I could completely have to scrap this. Maybe the Giants come back and win the game, I don't know. I won't know. I'm going to post this before or edit this before that happens, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Cowboys have won the game. And it was because of their defense. I mean, what, 2 pick sixes, a blocked field goal return for touchdown, all kinds of crazy things that defense is doing. I picked Micah Parsons as my defensive player of the year. He had a sack in the first, I think he had the first sack of the season for Dallas. Dallas looks really good too, man. They look really, really good. Again, the same question to the Steelers and to the Bears. Is Dallas really that good, or are the Giants really that bad? Look, it's week 1. Some teams treat the first couple weeks of the season as an extended preseason. I don't agree with that sentiment, but I'm just saying some teams kind of do that. It's a little asinine, but it happens. I don't think in the Giants' case, I just think that Dallas is really that good defensively. And when your biggest weapon is Saquon Barkley out of the backfield and they bottle him up pretty good, and you force Daniel Jones out to try and make plays with his arm, that's not going to work. So Dallas looks really good. That's number 3. Number 4, the Denver Broncos, man. The Denver Broncos looked horrible yesterday. Now, the Raiders did play pretty well on defense, but Russell Wilson did not look good. He threw it in. He just doesn't look the same. And I thought Sean Payton, and look, one game does not make a season, but I thought Sean Payton was going to be able to fix this offense and they were going to look like world beaters. That is not what happened. They only lost by 1 point, but they never controlled that game. They never really got it going on the ground. They have no real good offensive weapons. I really did not like anything I saw out of the Denver Broncos in that game. And I said in my preview show, if you go back, I said, if it's good, this has potential of being a really, really, really good team. And if it's not good, this has potential of being a 5-12 horrible team. That's what it looked like. Now, we'll find out. We'll see how the season plays out. But from what I saw out of Denver yesterday, was not a fan. Observation number 5. We're going to put this as a separate segment in the show. It is time to give the Detroit Lions their flowers. Man, what a game Thursday night. I completely read that game wrong. It turns out the loss of Travis Kelce and Chris Jones was way bigger for the Chiefs than I had anticipated. It was a weird game. I know this is the give the flowers to the Lions segment, but let me talk about the Chiefs really fast. That game, if Kadarius Toney makes a couple of plays, catches a freaking ball, we may be talking about a Chiefs squeaking out a victory in this one. But it didn't happen. We don't live in that world. We live in the world where the Detroit Lions came into Arrowhead on banner night after I talked all that smack to my wife's family on this show that I want to see it out of Detroit. I picked them to win the NFC North, but I said I wanted to see it. Show me. You got to show me. And they showed me. They won. They made plays defensively. Look, you can blame all you want on the absence of Kelce and Jones. I just did it, okay? But at the end of the day, Detroit got the job done. How about the stones, the balls of their coach, Dan Campbell, to call a fake punt from inside their own 30 to get the first down in the first quarter of the game, or second quarter. It was early, whenever it was. Making big stops on Patrick Mahomes, making back-to-back stops on 3rd and 20 and 4th and 20 against that offense. I don't care that they don't have Travis Kelce. That's still Patrick Mahomes and a 2-time MVP back there slinging the ball in his prime, and they made big stops. Hand over the flowers to Detroit Lions. And by the way, we'll lump this all together with my observation number 5. That division is there for the taking because the Bears looked awful. The Vikings looked awful. I was not overly impressed with Green Bay, even though they took it to my Bears. And Detroit looks 1-0, and they beat the defending champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. That division is there for the taking for Detroit. They better go and snag it. And they showed me that they could. So give Detroit their flowers. All right, let's move on. A couple more quick observations. I won't put this in the 5 observations, just secondary ones. I mentioned it earlier. The Bucs upset the Vikings. The Vikings, horrible turnovers by Kirk Cousins. Did not look very good in that game. A complete 180 from their opener last year. If you recall, last year their opener, they thumped Green Bay in the opener. We all thought, oh, here come the Vikings. And, it was fool's gold. Everybody said last year, and I even said on this show, I picked them to go to the playoffs. They may still win 10 games. I don't know. But that output yesterday or earlier today as I'm recording this, horrendous for the Minnesota Vikings. And by the way, it was horrendous. Justin Jefferson still looked like the best receiver in the NFL aside from Tyreek Hill. What was it, 180 yards receiving, and most of it in the first half? I don't know what the Vikings did in the second half, but they got away from their game plan. They didn't target Jefferson all that much in the second half. They end up losing a tight one, a game that could have gone both ways, but Tampa Bay, good on them. That's an organization that, frankly, this year, nobody was very high on, myself included, and they go into Minnesota, a tough environment, on the road to open the season, and they get a victory. Good for the Bucs. Another team that went on the road into a very hostile environment to another darling in the offseason and got the victory. How about the LA Rams? I buried the LA Rams in the preview show, and they go into Seattle and beat the Seahawks in all-around good performance. Stafford looked pretty good without Cooper Kupp, by the way, and the defense looked pretty good as well. Good for them. What else do we got? Oh, my Super Bowl pick. The Bengals looked horrendous. They looked horrendous. Yeah, it was a bad weather game. Here's what I have to say about that. The Bengals have always been a second half of the season type of team. If you look at the team that went to the Super Bowl a few years ago, they lost to the Bears that season, the god-awful Matt Nagy Bears. Early in that season, I believe they were 2-4 at one point that season. Maybe it wasn't that bad, but I know they weren't very good through the first 8 games of that season. Even last year, I had buried them about halfway through the year. I think they were 5-5 or 5-6, something like that. Maybe they weren't sub 500, but they had most of their losses in the first half of the season. They end up going to the AFC Championship game. They are a late bloomer. They always are. But still, on the road to Cleveland, which, by the way, the Browns have owned the Bengals the last 5 years. I think they're 6-for-6 in their last 6 meetings, something to that effect. So good on the Browns, good for them. That was a fun game to watch. I mean, fun defensive game to watch. It wasn't really a good game to watch. All right. Last thing I want to talk about, and this is probably going to take up most of the show. I am a miserable Chicago Bears fan today. A miserable Chicago Bears fan. I have been avoiding all sharp objects and tall buildings since about 5:30 this afternoon. Look, they had besides the New York Giants, who are getting shut out right now, they had the worst loss of any team in Week 1. The worst loss of any team in Week 1. Statistically, by score, they lost by 18 points. That's more than any team in the NFL besides, again, the Giants. I don't know what the final score of that game is as I'm recording this, but it's 26-0 right now. And look, Green Bay wasn't all that over-impressive. And that's not me taking a shot at Green Bay. Everyone is giving Jordan Love his flowers right now, saying, oh, man, they went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and now Love takes the throne. No, he didn't. There wasn't a single Bears defender within 10 yards of any one of those receivers. The Bears never got pressure on him. They never sacked him. He never had to make a tough throw. He never made a tough throw. And not to mention his running back made it easy on him. Got a couple of 40-yard rushes or whatever it was. The Bears were horrendous. They had no offensive game plan whatsoever. I don't know what that was. You traded your number 1 overall pick. The number 1, you could have had Bryce Young. You could have taken a star defensive end. You could have taken Bijan Robinson. Why the hell not? Jahmyr Gibbs. Why the hell not? You could have taken a premier offensive lineman. You could have had whatever you want. You said, no. We're good with Justin Fields. He just needs more weapons. We're going to trade him to Carolina. We're going to trade that number 1 overall pick to Carolina. They look like they got a good young quarterback in Bryce Young. Okay, fine. We have a good young quarterback in Justin Fields. That's what the Bears said. Give us DJ Moore and let's see what Justin Fields looks like with a true offensive weapon. Okay, here's what Justin Fields looks like with a real true offensive weapons. Do you know how many targets DJ Moore had yesterday? Targets, not catches. Targets. How many times they threw to him? Twice. If you had 2 on your bingo card, congratulations, you win. because that's how many times they targeted the guy they traded the number 1 overall pick for. Is that a good offensive game plan? Huh? What? Or how about, I thought for a second Matt Nagy was back coaching the Bears. How about that 3rd down and 1? They motioned Cole Kmet over to go under center to try a quarterback sneak with a tight end. Excuse me? What? No, how about you get the rookie Roshan Johnson back there, hand him the ball in a power I formation and go 2 yards forward to get the first down? How is that so difficult? No, we got to get cute. We got to run motion. We got to put Cole Kmet under center, and he's got to take the ball and go straight. Justin Fields, look, man, I said in the preseason preview, and I've been saying it for 3 years, he's an explosive runner. He's fun to watch. He's going to have a lot of highlight SportsCenter top 10 plays with his legs, but that doesn't win in the National Football League long term. You have got to throw the ball 30 yards. You have got to complete 60% of your passes, and you have to throw for 250 yards plus. That's what wins. And they did not take shots down. They didn't even try taking shots downfield. How about that 3rd and 18 when they finally start closing the gap and it looks like, all right, they got some momentum. We might be back in this thing. And it's what? First it was 2nd and 16, I want to say. And they run that like weird little hitch route or whatever that was with the running back, and then they throw a 3-yard screen the next play on 3rd down. I mean, either A, they don't trust Justin Fields to make throws down the field and they're just not making those play calls, which that's alarming if that's true, or B, Fields isn't seeing anything downfield and he's just checking it down to the check down and saying, all right, you know what, fine, let's live another down. All right, that's okay. You can live another down when it's the 1st and 2nd quarter, but when you're down 18 in the 4th, or when it's 3rd and 16 and you're down 11, throw the freaking ball, man. My God. And again, I look, I don't want to make it sound like I'm just dunking on Fields because he's not the one calling the plays. They looked unprepared. They looked horrible yesterday. Horrible. All the way around. You could tell I'm very frustrated. You could tell I'm very animated. How do you have an off season? How do you have an off season where last year they won 3 games and you get the number 1 overall pick? And we've lost to this Packer team for how many years straight now? I don't think we've beaten the Packers since 2020, 2019. I don't even know. That's how long it's been. Okay? We've lost to every iteration of the Packers, too. We lost when it was Favre, when it was Matt Flynn for a couple of games. We beat them a few times back then, but now we're losing to Jordan Love. And this one feels especially bad because it's the first game of the season. We had 9 months to prepare. I'm not on the team. The Eberflus and the Bears had 9 months to prepare for this game. And they never got a pass rush. They were down 7-0 the first time the Packers touched the ball. They do that stupid Cole Kmet play on the first 3rd and short of the season. Then you have checkdowns after checkdowns. I saw a passing chart at the end of the game. They only attempted 1 pass over 20 yards the entire game. 1. Even the touchdown he hit Darnell Mooney on, I think, was only 17 yards, and that was the best throw of the game. I think if anybody on the Chicago Bears that played pretty decent was Darnell Mooney. Completely unprepared, completely unready to go. Matt LaFleur, I could say all I want about the Green Bay Packers and how much I dislike them. I have to admire him, man. I have to admire that coach. They win 12, 13 games every time he's been there except last year. And last year, you could even say a lot of that was on Rodgers or a lot of that was on roster construction, which is not the coach's fault. That coach wins. That coach has his players ready. That was pretty much a rookie. I know it's his 3rd year in the NFL and he's been on the bench, but that's pretty much a rookie quarterback out there. And he gashed the Bears. And he's got a clean jersey. He doesn't even have to give the jersey to the wash this week. It's totally clean. The guy never even hit the deck. What are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, look, the football mind in me says flush it, forget about it, get ready for Tampa Bay. But I'm not sure if they're ready for Tampa Bay. You see what Tampa Bay just did? They walked into Minnesota and beat them. Now we got to go to Tampa Bay for their home opener and beat them. And then we got to go to Kansas City. This team might be 0-3. If you're 0-3 in the NFL, you might as well start getting ready for the draft. How many times has an 0-3 team ever made the playoffs? I think the answer legitimately is 1 or 2. I mean, I don't want to live in doomsland over here, but the Bears were, horrendous isn't the word. Putrid isn't the word. That was bad. And then I've been listening to Chicago sports radio. It's what I like to do after Bears games, and they're all kind of saying the same thing, which is, and I think they're right. The team didn't. They played like the first team played like 9 snaps in the preseason. I'm not a big preseason guy. I don't really watch the preseason. Sorry. And that's what they looked like. 9 months of the offseason, number 1 overall pick, trading it for DJ Moore. You target him 2 times. You never throw the ball downfield. The offense looks terrible. The defense doesn't get any pressure. Broken coverages all over the place. What are we doing? That was bad. I don't know what else to say about the Chicago Bears. It was bad. Man, they better get it together. That if that effort is what, if that's the effort against the Packers, who's supposed to be, that's the team. You don't worry about the Chiefs. You don't worry about the Chargers. You don't even really worry about the Lions or Vikings, even though now you do. When you get the schedule every single year, the first team that you circle for the Chicago Bears is the Green Bay Packers. That's the game twice a year you better be ready for. They weren't ready at all. And who's that on? It's on the coach for sure. But, man, I'm just so... you guys are kind of watching a fan meltdown here. I am so sick and tired of this every year. What are we doing? Honestly, what are we doing? That was horrible. But, all right, I don't want to end the show on such a downer. I want to give a shout out to Novak Djokovic. The only non-football thing I'm going to do today, I'm going to give a huge shout out to Novak Djokovic for winning his 24th Grand Slam title. He defeated Daniil Medvedev in straight sets. What a fun. I was flipping back and forth when that Bears game got out of hand. I turned a little bit of the U.S. Open on. What a fun tournament. The U.S. Open was fantastic. Over the past year, have become a very, very big tennis fan, thanks mostly to my wife. She loves tennis. She grew up on it. I did not grow up on tennis. I held the tennis racket pretty much for the first time about a year ago. Fell in love with the sport. Love watching it. Love playing it. But, we may be watching, tennis, these sports every sport kind of goes through like a golden age and then a dip. The Jordan, right after MJ retired, it was a dip, and then you had Kobe, and then there was a little bit of a dip, then you had LeBron, and now, people say it's a new golden age of the NBA. Same with baseball, eras, this and that. Tennis sort of had a little bit of a dip about 10 years ago when Sampras and Roddick and all them kind of faded away. But then you had, Roger Federer and you had Nadal, and it kind of came back a little bit. And then the last 2-3 years, it sort of feels like it's another new era of tennis, with Tiafoe and Ben Shelton on the men's side, and Coco Gauff, an American female, finally wins the women's U.S. Open, which that was a fantastic match. She defeats Sabalenka yesterday. So hats off to Coco Gauff, and I know I said Novak Djokovic, but Djokovic, 24th Grand Slam is incredible. And Coco Gauff, it's good to see an American winning the U.S. Open, so that was fun to see. So give them a huge shout out. All right, that's it for today's show. We'll be back later this week to talk about the picks for the upcoming NFL Sunday and some other goings-ons in sports. Again, if you like everything we're doing around here, please click the bell, click subscribe. We really do appreciate it. Click like as well. It helps the algorithm. And as always, thanks for sticking around. We'll see you next time.